Thank you, Senator Brandis. Senator Cameron.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President. And I come to this debate with some experience of the relationship between the trade union movement and the Australian Labor Party. I'm really finding it very difficult, after listening to Senator Brandis's contribution, as to exactly how his contribution went to the issue that's before the chair. But be that as it may, there have been some great lawyers in the Senate. There have been some outstanding parliamentarians in this Senate. And I have to say, after that performance, Senator Brandis, you've got a long way to go to be deemed a great lawyer. Because one of the great lawyers in this Senate was the Honourable Senator Lionel Murphy, who went on to become a High Court judge. And Senator Murphy knew a bit about the law. And Senator Murphy, back in 1972, had this to say about the role of the Attorney-General. And we have the Shadow Attorney-General here smearing and trying to set up a kangaroo court in this Senate against the current Prime Minister. And this is what Senator Murphy said when he was talking about the conduct of Senator Greenwood at that time. Senator Greenwood, who was trying to put legislation through this Parliament that people should be tried on the basis of their known character. Their known character. Luckily enough, the conference the Senate had the knowledge and the wisdom not to put that through from the coalition. But this is what the then Shadow Attorney-General said, the Honourable Lionel Bowen. The Attorney-General must rigidly exclude party politics. The Attorney-General, and we've got Senator Brandis who wants to be the Attorney-General, the Attorney-General must act in the interests of all citizens. One of his functions, and it was a bit sexist in those days, but one of his functions is to determine whether proceedings should be instituted to protect a person facing a charge from prejudicial statements. It is part of the rule of law that persons should be presumed innocent, and they should not be made the subject of prejudicial statements before their case is tried. And we've seen plenty of prejudicial statements here from the would-be Attorney-General, Senator Brandis. To suggest guilt is prejudicial. You know that. To suggest guilt is prejudicial. The publication of any matter indicating bad character on his part or otherwise disparaging an accused may be prejudicial. It is not necessary to impute guilt. To disparage is enough. And we've had nothing but disparagement from the coalition against a Prime Minister who is not charged with any issue, and it's about impugning her character, and it's about going back to where they were in the late 60s and in the early 70s, where your known character, or what they believe is your character, should be about how the law is implemented. We should never have Senator Brandis as an Attorney-General in this country if he is so devoid of understanding of the basic principles of the law. I am not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. But I can understand what the Honourable Lionel Murphy was saying when he outlined these issues. It's not necessary to impute guilt. To disparage is enough. And I would ask the Shadow Attorney-General to actually think about that, to actually think about what you're doing as the would-be Attorney-General of this country, standing there disparaging the Prime Minister without any evidence, without any basis of facts.
Senator Cameron, a point of order, Senator Brandis. Acting Deputy President. Now, Senator Cameron is reflecting upon me, but in taking the point of order, may I point out that it follows necessarily from what he is saying that no criticism of the conduct of any member of parliament
Senator
by another
Wong, I haven't heard Senator Brandis.
that no criticism of the probity of the conduct of any member of parliament by another member of parliament in the parliament would ever be allowed.
Senator Brandis, you know full well that that is a point of debate, not a point of order. Senator Cameron.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that goes to the same position that Senator Brandis takes with his legal arguments when he's trying to misuse the processes of the Senate. It just shows again why Senator Brandis should actually go back and read what Lionel Murphy said in this place back in 1972. So I might leave that just for a minute, because I'm not a lawyer, but it's actually nice being able to draw to the would-be Attorney General of this country some of the basic principles of the law, some of the basic principles that are being trashed here. And we've been through this time and again, and I would have thought someone who was standing up and foreshadowing that they wanted to be the Attorney General of this country would have some basic understanding of the law and the principles that underpin the law. Now, this actual proposition that we have before us, I want to come to the proposition, is about special relationships. Well, no one denies that there is a special relationship between the trade union movement and the Australian Labor Party. And why? Because the Australian Labor Party is a Labor Party, a party representing workers and labour in this country. The party who actually stood up for workers when work choices was foisted upon the community during the Howard government. We are a Labour Party. There is a special relationship. The relationship between the trade union movement and the Labour Party is a root and branch relationship. And if we stood here every time one of the big business mates of the coalition ended up in court on an embezzlement charge, we would spend a lot of time in the Senate talking about special relationships between corrupt businessmen and the coalition. We would do a lot of that. We would be doing a lot of that. And if you talk about special relationships, let's look at special relationships in the coalition. Look at the special relationships of the lobbyists that are now becoming a huge force, working away under the surface of the Liberal Party. The lobbyists that are in there who have both offices within the Liberal Party and operate as lobbyists. And Senator Brandis should know this well, because it's been a huge controversy in Queensland, where Campbell Newman has had to face the accusations of lobbyists getting special privileges in Queensland. And if you just look at some of these lobbyists, there was a two-series Australian Financial Review. If you want to talk about the Financial Review and how good the Financial Review is, well, I would draw your attention, Senator Brandis, to Pamela Williams' 2 articles on Friday the 2nd of December and back onto the Saturday the 3rd of November, where she talks about a growing number of top business executives getting phone calls from Santoro.
Senator Brandis.
Order.
Senator Brandis is entitled to be heard in silence.
Thank
Senator
you,
Brandis.
Mr. Acting Deputy President. Mr. Acting Deputy President, can I direct your attention to the terms of the question before the Chair, which is that the Senate notes the challenges for good government posed by the culture of the Australian Labor Party and its special relationship with affiliated trade unions. Now, Mr. Acting Deputy President, I accept entirely that a degree of latitude is involved in applying the relevance test to this debate. I accept entirely that it is perfectly in order for a senator to make comparisons between his side of politics and his political opponents, but only in the context of the question before the chair. And can I respectfully submit that because this is a debate about the Labor Party and the trade unions, not about the Liberal Party, that Senator Cameron has trespassed beyond what could be regarded as relevant.
Senator Brandis, as you yourself observed, these debates do customarily range fairly widely. Senator Cameron. There's no point of order.
Thanks, Mr Acting Deputy President. So let's go back to the Australian Financial Review, which was quoted by Senator Brandis, and this issue of special relationships, because this debate is about special relationships. And I'm happy to have a discussion about the special relationships that the coalition lobbyists, who have relationships with big business, have with the Liberal Party. And that's a legitimate issue here. And what Pamela Williams says, who is a highly respected journalist, says the phone calls, it's the phone call a growing number of top business executives receive. Santos Santoro is on the line. Santos Santoro, a former Liberal senator, is on the line. Santo is your man, they say, if you want something pushed in Queensland by a lobbyist. By a lobbyist. But it says, but Santos Santoro is not just a lobbyist with rolled gold cronies across Queensland's Liberal National Party. He is a political fundraiser on a wider stage too. He is a political fundraiser on a wider stage, personally backed by opposition leader Tony Abbott as a federal vice president of the Liberal Party, with the role of helping round up big dollar donations for the party ahead of the next federal election. Which Santoro is it who lifts the phone? The political bagman for the federal Liberals, or the highly paid private lobbyist looking for a contract who happens to be a party elder with the ear of Abbott and a speed dial in Queensland? Now, what it says is that Santoro's political lobbying business has almost tripled in size in 1 year, from 10 clients in July last year to 28 clients now. How has this happened? It's happened because there's a special relationship. There is a special relationship between Santos Santoro and the Liberal Party. Is there any doubt that this would be a special relationship of some note that takes up 2 articles in the Financial Review? And I can go to some of Santos Santoro's clients, and if you see the list of clients, and then you listen to the coalition defending a number of businesses around this country, you will see that there is quite a connection between the clientele of Santos Santoro and the arguments that get put up here defending businesses' rights in this country. And then we have other special relationships. We've got the special relationship with National Senator Barnaby Joyce and the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Ms. Julie Bishop. And I'll go back to an article in Crikey that goes to an article in The Age, where National Senator Barnaby Joyce, it says, tapped the taxpayer for $2,000 last week to attend the lavish wedding of a granddaughter of an Indian billionaire engaged in delicate negotiations with iron ore matriarch Gina Rinehart to buy 2 of her Queensland assets. So here we have a special relationship. We've got Gina Rinehart actually flying out the Deputy Leader of the Opposition and Senator Barnaby Joyce to a wedding in India. I just don't understand this, but that's what happened. And what it was Gina Rinehart was in negotiations with one of these Indian billionaires to buy 2 of her properties. So what's being done, according to Crikey, is that she's getting added status. She says to Senator Joyce, she says to Ms Bishop, jump in my jet, I'll fly you out to India, and you can stand by my side and I'll look pretty good. I've got these senior politicians on my side. It'll show how important I am. If ever there was a special relationship, that's it. And what did Senator Joyce say about this massive function that he went to? He said he'd enjoyed a brief encounter with a Bollywood actor. He didn't get any lessons when you see Senator Joyce in action. The Bollywood actor didn't give him any tips. But he described the actor as India's Brad Pitt. He said, I must admit, it was absolutely mind-blowing. So here we have Senator Joyce out at the big shindig in India, flown out by the billionaire, special relationship, fantastic relationship, out there, don't know what he's supposed to be doing. Why would you have 2 coalition politicians in your jet to an Indian billionaire's wedding? But there they were. There they were. And Senator Joyce said it was mind-blowing. I don't think he's ever recovered, actually, from that mind-blowing experience. It's getting worse every week. But there you go. There you go. Why would he be there at this, billionaire's wedding? So that's special relationships. And we just have to wait and see where that special relationship leads us. Another special relationship. Former Senator Helen Coonan. Helen, goes off, special relationship, leaves here, the seat's still warm, and she's a director of Kerry Packer's Crown Limited, on the payroll of Kerry Packer. Now look, that's fine. People can do that. It's just,
Order,
but you cannot simply talk about special relationships without understanding the special.
Senator
You've got to understand the special relationship of the coalition with all of these billionaires. You've got to understand it. That's why they're in here defending the tobacco industry, defending the gambling industry, defending the health care industry. That's what they're doing, because there is a special relationship between the coalition and big business. Make no mistake about it. And there are some weirder special relationships. Take Senator Matthias Cormann. What about his special relationships? Well, you see, Senator Cormann did a trip back in 2011 to the United States. And it's on the public record. And he said the purpose of the trip was to explore United States economic, fiscal and monetary policy, the approach to financial services, and it goes on, and develop and deepen relationships in the US. Well, what did he do? He said, my visit to the US was an invaluable opportunity to develop contacts to draw on in the future. Well, let's see who he's drawing on. Let's see who he's drawing on. He's drawing on a mob called Freedom Works. Freedom Works. And what are they about? They are a Tea Party. They are major supporters of the Tea Party in America. That's why we see all this nonsense all the time from over the other side of the chamber. They go over at public expense to talk to all the loopy people from the Tea Party. Then they come back here and try and behave every bit as loopy as the Tea Party in the United States. So they're off there on the Tea Party. What does Freedom Works also do? They sell high-deductible insurance policies and tax-free medical savings plans to individuals at group discounts. So they're in there in the private health industry. They are really up to their neck in a whole range of things. One of their main funders is Philip Morris. Philip Morris, the tobacco company. So these are the type of people. These are the type of people
Order.
that Freedom Works and Senator Cormann
Order.
is over there.
Senator Cameron, resume your seat. Order. Order. Senators on my left. Senator Brandis was heard in silence for his contribution. Senator Cameron should be extended the same courtesy. Senator Cameron.
Thanks. Now, Freedom Works also were out there actually funding a campaign against legislation in the American House to actually give rights to people who had contracted asbestos-related disease, mesothelioma and that type. These are the type of people that the coalition have got a special relationship with. They go over there and they talk to people that are trying to stop ordinary Americans getting any access to help, support and money to keep their family going after they contract asbestos. That's the type of approach. It goes to the Cato Foundation, a special relationship with the Cato Foundation, a special relationship with the Heartland Institute that says it's a think tank. The Heartland Institute. These are the climate sceptics in chief. You know, they think that it's that there is no global warming, there's no problem with the climate. It's all just should be left alone. The Heartland Institute, I just think, are crazy. And I could go on. There's much more. And I've just come across this, and I will keep this, and I'll come back, and I will take you through someday another walk through the special relationship that the coalition has with big business, with the climate sceptics, with all the nutters in the Republican Party in the United States, and you will say, why do we listen to these people? Senator Brandis, go and read the biography of the former